All right, so on this week's road review, we have a car that interests me for two different reasons. One, I think it's got one of the hardest names to pronounce, but more interestingly, the motoring records do suggest the Nissan Qashqai is the first ever crossover. So in so many ways, a historical car that actually comes to our set today. Now, it's a crossover and a mini SUV, you could say a small SUV, but what we've done different on this week's edition of Revved Up is I've invited a very good friend of mine, a man who also loves everything about cars, and more interestingly, he has a real passion for the Nissan Qashqai, to come here and actually tell us his fanatic view.
Hi, my name is Ben Wine. I'm a broadcaster and an avid car enthusiast. And I'm here to tell you why I'm in love with the Nissan Qashqai. Now, like Andrew said, this car was very, very special when it came out in 2006 because it was the first ever crossover. And that's something that's become very popular these days. But back in 2006, you didn't have that. You either had the big SUVs, or 4x4s as we call them in Uganda, or you had the smaller cars. In Uganda, you would be looking at the Run X or the Starlet or the Golf and Polo. What Nissan then did was come up with a car that was just really special. Basically, they took a hatchback and raised it up, made it bigger, and sort of made it a crossover between a small car and a big car, hence the name crossover. When it went on selling its first year, the Qashqai sold more than 100,000 units in the UK alone. It has gone on to sell more than 1.7 million units, and for that entire time, up until 2 years ago, has remained one of the top 10 selling cars in the UK alone. And so it caught my attention. I was thinking, this is a very special car. I don't like very big cars because, they are too all over the place. But this is special. It's nimble, it's good to drive, it's very comfortable, and yet it has all the things that you need. It looks good, it drives well, and it has some very special tricks up its sleeves that I'm going to tell you about today.
The Qashqai crossover utility vehicle has been an immensely successful part of Nissan's brand since its debut in 2007. Some car sequels just aren't as good as the original, but Nissan have managed to uphold and upgrade the high standards held by the Qashqai over the years, and consequently, its popularity has continued to grow. The latest Qashqai, produced in 2016, demonstrates why this vehicle has enjoyed such longevity as a VIP in the crossover class. While similarities can certainly be drawn between the present model's exterior and the original, the modern version of the Qashqai is undeniably designed to fit in with the fast-paced urban lifestyle that most people have these days.
Now, starting with the exterior, the first thing that strikes you about the Nissan Qashqai is the very bold styling that Nissan has gone with on most of its models over the last few years. This is a particular top range of the model here in Uganda. We get two trims. You get the Vizia as well as the Accenta, which is the top range that we get here. Comes with bold styling, daytime running lights. Of course, you get the fog lamps as well, panoramic roof, and the car is based on a platform that Nissan calls the CMF. It's Common Modular Family that they're sharing with Renault in a partnership that comes with most of its cars. That comes on the new Koleos from Renault, as well as the Kaja, and of course the X-Trail, all based on this particular platform. Now, under the hood of the Nissan Qashqai is something that has made it very popular for buyers across Europe, especially for a very long time. It has a wide range of engines, starting with a 1.2-litre petrol. Yeah, that's right, 1.2-litre petrol. Goes up to 1.5-litre diesel. You have a 1.6-litre diesel, 1.6-litre petrol, and this one that we currently have on our hands, which is a 2-litre petrol. Yet it delivers some amazing fuel economy and power with very low carbon emissions. What that means is that basically this car does not hurt the environment and yet produces enough power to move you around very swiftly. This particular model will give you up to 186 horsepower. And what that means in lay terms is that it gives you enough power across the range for accelerating or overtaking, or of course getting to your top speed, which for this car is about 240 kilometers per hour, which is too fast for Uganda, mind you. So you want to be careful about how you handle it on our roads, but it comes very, very impressively in terms of how it performs economy-wise. So one of the things you notice about this amazing Qashqai is the detailing on the exterior. So you've got a reclining roofline, that actually makes it look smaller than it is. And you'll see why when we get into the interior. Some chrome detail on the outside, the beautiful wraparound taillights. One of my favorite features about this car is the massive wheels. I mean, for a car that is, reasonably small, 19-inch wheels on this top spec model, and that comes with some, really good ride comfort, not being compromised. That's a very good thing. Also, because being top of the range model, you've got a nice spoiler, and then on to one of my favorite tricks about this car, which is the boot. The way the boot opens is it doesn't have a handle. So actually it has a sensor. You just put your fingers under there, and then the thing opens, and it opens so high that even a person who is maybe 6 foot is actually able to lean over into the car. It's actually so high that if you're very short, you might have a hard time trying to pull it back down. But then it opens up to what is an amazing boot space for a car of this size. You can actually fit 2 large suitcases into this boot. But that's not the best part. The best part is when you actually fold the seats down and reveal what's amazing boot space. What you have then is almost 1,600 liters of boot space. To put it into context for you, you can put a cow in here. No, I'm not joking. You actually can put a cow in this car. And that's how much boot space there is. And the seats go down with just one motion, simple, pull the move, and seats go down to reveal that much boot space. So now, this is where the Qashqai actually begins to get very exciting. I mean, look, I'm not a very short guy, but yet look at how much legroom I've got. Look at how much headroom I've got. You can put 6 foot guys both in the front and in the rear, and they'll be very comfortable. You've got coffee cup holders for your mugs in case you're traveling. You've got Isofix for your child car seats that becomes very friendly for you when you're traveling, but also it's very comfortable. You've got heated seats. The AC is able to come in perfectly well into the back. And that's even before we talk about just how comfortable this car is. And we'll go to the front now and explain that. So now, this is where the Qashqai really begins to shine. The interior is amazing. I mean, you've got a very, what you would call simplistic, but yet very friendly user display. Steering control wheels that give you access to your information. You can check everything from the range that you have to your fuel consumption, to any warnings about whether you have some doors open, whether your 4x4 is engaged, what radio station you're listening to, start-stop button as standard. Very simple but friendly infotainment display. Allows you to change the radio settings or anything you want to do there. Electronic park brake, so you don't have to pull anything. That's something that you have to get used to, especially if you've been driving out Toyotas where you have to pull things and all. This comes with a CVT transmission. What that means basically is you can drive in auto manual when you're driving around. Electronic rear view mirror that automatically dims when you're moving around, which is very special. Lots of storage spaces for your cup holders on this side. Of course, heated and cooled seats as well. Huge storage space for you with an auxiliary input, a USB port, as well as another 12 volts. The other really good thing about this car is the way it's built. I mean, it feels really solid. It's none of that very cheap plastic. It feels a lot more premium than you'd expect, especially regarding the cabin noise. When you're inside this car, it is so quiet. Actually, here's a fun fact for you. This car is quieter than a Bentley Flying Spar. The only cars that are quieter than this car in terms of cabin noise are the Mercedes-Benz S-Class and I think the BMW X5. Apart from that, you'll find very few cars that are as quiet as this car is. But none of that are the biggest highlights on this car. It's actually about it being a car and how it drives. And for that part, I'm going to let Andrew have a bit of an experience with this and tell you just how amazing the Nissan Qashqai is.
All right, so let's get the basics out of the way first. I mean, every time you're buying a car, there are things you look out for. There are folks who will tell you they look out for comfort. There are folks who will tell you they look out for power. The Qashqai has 144 for its brake horsepower. And Nissan are saying it is pretty much for your ultimate urban experience. Now, what that means is you shouldn't have problems with bad roads. But in case your urban has got potholes, I would be happy to let you know that this very Qashqai has 19-inch alloys, which pretty much makes it high, and a ground clearance of about 182 millimeters. So even if your urban has potholes, you should comfortably go through whichever road you're actually going to use. And what that actually means is
the general experience of the driver is improved because everyone talks about the car being comfortable, but then every time you hit those potholes, you feel like the tires are probably going to shake off. No, they're getting you the comfort on the inside and actually also making sure you have a good ground clearance on the outside. So issues like potholes should not be a problem for you. So not bad for a town car. Now, everyone talks about safety, and of course, the Qashqai is no different because you've got your airbags all over from there. Your steering wheel right in front of the driver. You have curtain airbags in there. But quite interestingly, its seat belts automatically tighten in case of a frontal collision, which I think is a good thing. It means you trust your seatbelts probably even more than the usual normal seatbelt. So your safety is pretty much everything that Nissan have been focusing on. Now, of course, there's all the other additions to most of these new generation cars. I mean, you have your ABS, which of course should help you with your braking pretty much wherever you'll be. It has your hill start assist, which means there will be no rolling back just in case you hadn't watched out for your brakes. It will keep exactly where it should be. Now, the Qashqai also has the electronic brake force distribution system. Now, what that actually means is that your car is going to brake way easier than most of the other cars, just in case of a very abrupt emergency, something to do with an immediate brake. It means that the power is easily pushed through all the brakes and you'll have a more imminent stop, which is a good thing because most of the cars I've seen on the road these days struggle with the braking, and I'm not really talking about having new brake pads or pretty much having visited the mechanic for everything else to make sure everything is in place. It's added advantage. It's merely added advantage because with the whole new generation cars, there's been a bigger focus on comfort and safety. Forget the price. There's been a bigger focus on safety, and part of the safety, it will come in, like I said, with the airbags, it comes in with your seat belts, but now it also comes in with your brakes. If your brakes are so intelligent to a point that in case of emergencies, they're actually going to brake up slightly faster than the normal car, it's a good thing. And if we talk about the luxury that the Qashqai comes with, if we talk about how much you're going to pay for it, if we talk about how much you can enjoy the ultimate urban experience, what is it that stops us then from being at one with nature? I mean, you've got its sunroof. You can open that up and it actually stretches until pretty much the back. Not so many cars do that now, do they? Yeah, so you're pretty much at one with nature if you open your sunroof in there. And all that is just part of the experience because you have your family in there, you're going for a very big vacation, you want your family to be as comfortable as they can, you want a car that pretty much makes you feel like you're in your own house, whether you're going to charge your phone, you've got ports in there, whether you want your Bluetooth, you actually can match this car with your phone, so everything comes off very easily. The Qashqai is a car that might be hard to pronounce for so many people, but I think it's not hard to appreciate. That's what I think. See, what has been happening over the years as different car companies have come up with different models and different segments is the consumers have found themselves in a situation where now they must pick a specific car from a segment that has so many other cars. Now, for the Qashqai, you have so many options from different suppliers. So the big question is sometimes, how do you make a pick on which one you actually want? I think it's easy. Folks talk about beauty. Folks talk about price. Folks talk about fuel economy. Folks talk about comfort. Can I be honest with you? I feel like the Qashqai actually ticks all those boxes, which means when you go out there to look for your next car, it certainly should be one of your top options. All right, so the Nissan Qashqai, we've taken it for a ride. We do love the car here at Revved Up. First of all, we must say thank you very much to Ben Mwine for joining us tonight and giving us his insights. He's a very big car fan now, isn't he? And I'm very sure he's enjoyed his time here on Revved Up. $48,000 is what you have to look for to have this in your driveway. But forget the price. If you look at what the car actually comes with, you should have it. It's a good one.
The secret to a successful sequel is to make it better than the original without straying too far from it. And that's exactly what Nissan have done with the Qashqai 2016. It is perfect for the modern individual, whether they are family-oriented or single and fast-paced. It has the look, the power, and the practicality to come out amongst the top crossovers in its class. And unsurprisingly, it does so with ease.